Welcome back to Weems Motor Co. It's time to get a rear fender on Ultor. Stick around. Alright, in all fairness, I've been doing YouTube for like 3 years, and this is the first time this mistake has ever happened to me. I have my camera set on photo instead of video when we tried to record the first portion of this video, but luckily I caught it before it got too far. So essentially what the plan to do today is to take this lowbrow customs manta ray fender and mount it up on our Born Free 16 build named Ultor. Now, what we've decided to do is to be inspired by some of the features that are on this bike originally. And being inspired by things and carrying that continuity throughout the build really sets a lot of the builds apart. So something we were inspired by were these lugs where the rear section of the frame hooks into the front section. Now originally these were cast steel lugs, and what I want to do is to replicate those on our rear fender struts. So did a little bit of drawing, got a blueprint going, and started machining the parts. Luckily, like I said, before we got too far into it, I noticed that I did not have it on video record. Fixed the issue. Now we can catch up to where we are on this build. So this is my blueprint, my drawing, and it is meant to replicate those lugs on the frame. Now, we had already jumped over on the lathe and took a piece of 1-inch stock and began to machine these parts. Got the taper in there and got with a recessed hole. Now, we are going to be using 3/8 solid steel rod to make our struts. The typical build would be using 1/2 inch, but I just thought slimmer is a little bit cooler, and the way that it worked out as far as what was originally on the frame compared to what I'm putting on is very close and very similar, and we wanted to maintain that continuity throughout. So by scale, I measured up those lugs and I drew up that drawing. Now the next thing to do, since we have the outside diameter and that taper turned, is to get this onto the mill and start milling out those flat portions, and then we can shape it and get it to where it looks just like those lugs. So let's get these things on the mill and let's get to work. It is always super awesome taking an imagination, a thought, idea, and bringing it to life and putting it on a motorcycle. So super cool, we got those done. Those are going to be the bases for our rear fender struts. Now, what we need to do is take a piece of chain, lay it across the tire so that we maintain the distance from the tire to the fender, and then we can set that fender down on top of the chain, and we can begin looking at how we want to take those fender struts and affix them to the fender, aligning everything up nice and neat. So let's grab some chain, grab the fender, toss it on there. Fender looking good on there. It's getting kind of late tonight, so I think we're gonna pick this up in the morning, so you guys hang out. All right, here we are, next day, sticking with our theme of being inspired by certain elements of this frame and continuing bringing some of those into some of the new parts. We are discussing how to get that fender strut mounted to the actual fender, and I was looking at different shapes and different elements of the frame, and I came across this area right here. Now, this was originally set up as a place where you would run the hose from your air filter to your carburetor. So Triumph designed this cast little oval cutout in the frame tube. Super cool element, and I thought, hey, well, how could we possibly add that into the fender? So I'm thinking about taking and making some ovals in the same style that is, and make little plates that rod would actually weld to, and then do all the metal shaping and smoothing and make it look cool. And there's another element that I have that I'm excited about that is an oval shape that we are bringing into the bike, and that is our lights. Now, these are handmade sand cast aluminum lights. I got a headlight, I got a nice little tail light. These are made by my friend Mr. James Fish Alcorn at Alleyway Customs here in Florida. He's up in Jacksonville. If you're looking for some cool stuff, cool parts, cool shirts, cool things, go check him out. And what's cool is he is also a Born Free Invited builder this year, so it's super neat to have one of my friends going with me all the way across the country and building some amazing bikes. So we have the oval lights, we have that oval cutout, and we're gonna make some oval cutouts to do the top mounts for this fender. So let's grab some metal, let's grab a little schematic, let's draw an oval, actually two ovals, and then let's get them cut. Now that we have our little ovals that we are going to use to attach our struts to our fender, we need to get our fender where it's going to be. Now, I like to take the lines of the motorcycle and tell me where this fender needs to sit and what angle those struts need to go in. So what we're going to do is kind of set the fender in place, kind of move it around, see what looks good to our eyes, what looks, aesthetically pleasing, and then we'll take some tape, wrap it around there so we hold that in place. And then I am thinking that this bar right here, this portion of the frame, it's called the seat post, is a good angle to be basing that fender strut off of. Sometimes you go off of the front end, sometimes you figure out like where the engine lays, but I think that line right there is probably going to be pretty dang close to where we want to be. So what I'll do is I'll throw me a gauge on there that's going to tell me at what angle that sits, and then I can put that rear fender strut on and kind of get an idea where we need to put these ovals, and we can start shaping and molding them to fit where that's going to go. So first thing to do, get this fender in the right place, tape it up, and then we'll find that angle. Alright, so if you notice like I do, there is a radius on the side of this fender and our little ovals are flat. So what I want to do is contour these so that they match that radius of the fender, which means either we need to sand some off of this or we need to bend these. Well, I think we're going to go through the process of trying to bend these, and I have an idea. Alright, I don't have a press in this shop, but I do have a vise and I do have heat. So my idea is to take that little oval and slide it between the two larger bolts and have the thick piece of 1-inch steel pressed to the center so it bends it like so. Let's figure out if it's going to work. Well, it looks like that might have done the trick. Probably gonna need some sanding to get it exactly right, but we got a radius on there and it's better than to just remove the material. So we've got one more of these to do. Let's see how this one fits. So you see, with a little bit of ingenuity, some heat, and a vise, you can take 1/4 inch thick steel and maneuver it in a way that will give you a radius. So super stoked about it. We are going to sand these and make them look all super cool, but that does give us the generalized idea, so we can go ahead and do the other one. And then we can talk about how we're going to affix these to the fender and then the strut to these. So let's get the other one bent up. We got her fitting on there like butter, so we can go ahead and contour and shape the other one, but we're not going to bother you with that. We're going to go ahead and fast forward this to show you how we're going to be mounting these. All right, so the plan to affix our little ovals onto this fender is to basically drill holes from the inside of the fender out, and then we can tap this nice 1/4 inch thick, which it's going to be thicker at the end because we're adding material on, but we can go ahead and tap this so that we can run a bolt from the inside up through that, so it'll be nice and hidden, it'll be contoured to the fender, it'll look super sexy and super smooth. So we're going to take these, since we already have our fender marked, clamp them on, and then we can go ahead and drill our pilot holes, and we can start the process of getting these tapped. So let's drill some holes. Got it all mounted back up, got everything lined up, tire in line with the frame, fender in line with the tire, everything straight, ready to go, so that we can figure out how we're going to angle and bend these rods, these fender struts, to match up with those nice little ovals we did. No need to rush on this. We have a lot of things going on today, a few other things we got to knock out, so I think we're going to call it a day, and we're going to go to part 3 of this video right now. You guys hang out. Ah, 3 days it's taken to make these fender struts, but no rush. Got to do right the first time. So now that we got everything ready to go, we got to measure from our distance from the chain on this side, so we want to make sure we have chain clearance. And then we can mark the opposite side. That way both sides match when it comes to the bends. Break out the torches, heat the thing up, get it bent into place so that we can tack weld it, cut the top portion off, and start doing some finishing welding. So let's break out the torch. All tacked up and ready to build up that weld, grind it down, sand it back, smooth it out, make it look like it's all one piece, and then do everything again on the drive side. But I think we're going to wrap it up today because we do have something special planned for that side's mount. So with that, We thank you guys for hanging out. If you are new around here, jump down and hit that subscribe button. If you really like the video, hit that thumbs up, turn those notifications on, and let everyone know what's going on right here at Weems Motor Co. Peace.